today I'm going to just give a 10-minute talk about the need for a Thurston County Courthouse, the sites that were studied. Here's our work plan. We've been working on this since late August, early September, gathering information on all of the 3 sites. We've been working on the options that you see in front of you during October. In November, we're going to be pricing all of these options. And then in December, all of this material is given to the commissioners along with all the community feedback that we've received. And they're going to make a decision in December about which site, not necessarily which one of these options, but which site do they want to go forward with and for how much money. From January all the way through August of 2019, the information is going to be shared with the public. And in August 2019, that's when we're going to have a public vote. It is a levy lid lift that requires 50% approval. And after that, if it passes, then about 18 months, they can start collecting monies in January of 2020. They'll collect that money for probably about 18 months. During that time, we'll do early site work, design, permitting, and the building will take at least 24 months to construct. The series of buildings will. If there's multiple phases, as you can see on some of these sites, it could take even much longer, 2 to 4 years. So we're really looking at about 4 to 5 years before we actually move in to a new county courthouse if there's a successful vote. Here's a little bit of history here. This is a fun one to take a look at. And I show this slide because what we're talking about is a 50 to 100 year building. We're not talking about a wood frame type of a building. This is a building that's meant to last for a long, long time. And you only have to go back to our original county courthouse. This one in the upper left-hand corner, over 100 years ago, and it's still there today. That was the original county courthouse. Most people think of it, that's our original state house, right? The county couldn't afford to operate it. So only, what does it say? 13 years after they built it, they moved into this one right here. That was a little bit more the size that they could afford to operate. They were there for 25 years when they moved up right near the Capitol. You can see they were there for 48 years, the picture on the lower left. The important thing to note is these buildings are still there. The building they're in now, I had the good fortune when I was a young, not architect, draftsman, I worked on the drawings for that building. And so here we are talking about its replacement. Why? It was built a lot of square footage on a site that was made available by a developer that was developing that entire hilltop. And so that's actually a wood frame building, like your home. Wood floors, wood roof, flat roof, and the systems, the structural systems, the mechanical systems, the plumbing. You probably saw the article in the paper last month about the main electrical feeders failing. The building is literally, it's falling apart. And so there are physical needs, there are a lot of functional needs. And as we took a look at the building, at our last series of workshops 3 weeks ago, we asked people, what was your experience? When did you go there last? What did you do? Did you enjoy it? Was there any problems? A lot of people say parking, of course, but a lot of issues associated with that building. And part of a project like this is confirming what the need truly is and making sure the public understands that. And so these were some of the things that were shared, not all, but some of them. And then another part of it is helping people to understand all the functions that are in a building like this. For 100 years, the county has referred to their buildings as the courthouse. But there's a lot of functions, as you can see on this middle category here under Civic Center, that don't have to do with court. Yet all of those departments are considered part of the courthouse. And then this is a spreadsheet. It's a summary roll-up. All those departments I just shared with you, they're on the left-hand side. And this is sharing how much existing space they have, how much their space is compared to standard, how much space all the departments need in 15 years, and then projecting clear out 30 years, how much space would they need? How much staff would they have? How many courtrooms do they need? And this totals it all up to around 380,000 square feet. These are the sites that were studied. 12 sites, the black dots are what was studied. Rick Thomas is the project manager for the commissioners for this project. Our firm had the good fortune of working on a lot of the programming in 2015. We even did a study back in 2013, so we revisited that. We updated that program spreadsheet I shared with you, but during that time, Rick has been working very hard on establishing criteria that would help the county narrow the sites from 12 all the way down to 3. Some of the sites fell right off because they were in a floodplain. They weren't inside the City of Olympia boundaries, which almost all the departments I just shared with you have to be within the City of Olympia. It's state law that it has to be in the county seat. And so the 3 sites with the red squares that you see here, those were the 3 final sites. The existing Hilltop site, Plum Street site, which is where the old Olympia City Hall is at, and then Harrison Street site, that's at Harrison and Kaiser on the west side of Olympia. And I'll share a little bit more details about these sites. One of the things that we've done over the past few months is we've collected criteria, judging criteria. How do we weigh these sites? About community impact, transit access, pedestrian, life cycle costs, safety and security, the facility's economic impact on the surrounding community. And so these are some criteria that were established. Amos has developed a board, you can see in the middle there, that lists all those criteria. Take a look at those, see if you want to add any to that. And then I'll share a little bit about each of the sites. This is the existing courthouse, so buildings 1, 2, and 3, and then these are also county properties, buildings 4, 5, and 6, all county property. Now this site is almost 26 acres, but because of the steep slopes, for those of you who have been there, it's actually only about 15 acres of developable land. Beautiful views from the property. It's already served by good utilities. It has good road access in terms of these sites here. Because of the steep slopes, the only road access to this whole site is actually right here at the corner. So that's less than ideal. And it is served by transit, that's good, but not served by multiple lines and not as frequent as we'd like. So as you look at the boards, you'll see at the bottom of the site board, Amos can point it out, there's a transit score and a walk score that shows up on each of those boards. You can compare them with each of the sites. The county owns this. I mean, that's definitely a positive on this site. And then the next site is the Plum Street site. Again, many of you will recognize the oval shape of the old City Hall. It's called the Creighton Justice Center now, but the city has at least offered that as a potential that the county can consider. This site is 10.5 acres. It is in a little bit more of an urban setting than the other 2 sites. It has good access around the site. Plum, Union, 8th, and East Side all surround the site. Fairly level. It does slope up a little bit as you go to the east side. It would require pilings on this site, but a little bit more urban. And then the walk score, let's see, the transit score is 56 and the walk score 85. That's on a scale of 1 to 100. So this is by far the best transit score and walk score, but it's to be expected. It's more of a downtown location. The final site, Harrison West. This at the corner of Harrison and Kaiser on our west side, out towards our kind of western perimeter of our city, but definitely in the city. This is an emerging, developing area. A lot of housing, more commercials coming. And just 2 years ago, this was all rezoned to HDC4. That means mixed use, a little bit higher heights are allowed here. This is privately owned, but this site is 27 acres, by far the largest. It's fairly level. It maybe slopes about 15 feet, north to south, east to west, not much. And there is a new off-ramp that's being proposed. Off-ramp and eastbound on-ramp right here at Kaiser. So Right now, you'd have to get off clear back at Black Lake or at Mud Bay or Evergreen Parkway. And so 27 acres, the the transit score is 34, walk score 50. It's kind of in between these other two sites here. So again, thank you all for coming out today.